So in this video, I still want to talk about the 360-degree assessment from Synthosys, but I want to show you now a second pillar, which is related to the theory of discretionary leadership. This is very interesting to understand you as a leader. How do you divide your time? So usually it goes around two axes: the importance of the details and your expertise. And then from that, you get four quadrant, from owning the task until delegating, and then in between you have learning and teaching. And then what happens often is that many leaders, they think they delegate a lot, but then when they start doing this exercise, they discover actually that they are owning too many tasks. And this is why they do have time management problem, a lot of stress, pressure, and actually sometimes micromanagement tendency. Now, again, our 360 gives you detailed insight on your behavior and how you can really start reflecting. It shows you how your peers, direct report, manager, and yourself, you are seeing your distribution of tasks, of course, through behavior that are mapped secretly to each quadrant. And I want to share with you two leaders' profile today. So the first one, as you can see here, which is very, very interesting. I'm gonna keep it anonymous without mentioning the case situation and so on. But in few words, the learning from that is that, so the leader in blue with the manager in red and the peer in green, so the peers, okay, they almost all at a certain extent agree on the percentage of how the leader is distributing his time. But the direct report, actually, they see that that leader spend 45% of his time learning, which is great. It means maybe it's an area where details are important, but you lack the expertise and you want to learn. That's very important. But that leader is having issue in delegating, which were not really clearly understood. And as you can see, actually, the peer and manager see him slightly more in delegation than what the leader see himself, but the direct report see him around 10%, much less. So when the leaders see this profile, they can directly reflect that, okay, my direct report look at this and don't see me as I'm delegating enough, okay? So what can I do? But also what is interesting is that the same direct reports, so as an average, they don't see that leader owning enough of the task. So actually that leader is spending much of his time in learning, okay? So while the manager is seeing him actually owning more, if you think at the red is the manager, the red profile. So again, we can here spend 5 hours reflecting on why do we have this different perception from the direct report and the manager and the leader himself, and what does the leader need to do to really start shifting the perception or maybe shifting their behavior. Now, similar to another leader, if you look at this one now, so the leader in blue is perceiving himself spending much of his time delegating. I'm trying to focus on the percentage here. It's around 25% of the time. So the majority of the time delegating, okay? However, it's not the case. You can see that the peer and the manager see him less in delegation, while the peers are seeing him really owning much more of what he's supposed to own. So again, if that leader now is having issue in time management, the question to ask is why you think you delegate more than what others are seeing, and how can we rectify that? Or actually, what can you delegate more? And usually a useful exercise I do with my clients is I make them draw the matrix with the four quadrants, so between owning, learning, teaching, delegating, which you can find as well in our report in details. And I ask them to put currently, where do their tasks fit? Is it in the owning quadrant or the learning or teaching and so on? And then after that, we start challenging each other and reflecting on what they can move from the owning quadrants to another quadrant. Because long story short, 90% of the time, all leaders end up putting a lot in the owning quadrant, which means doing themselves. and then discover easily that many of the tasks can be put in the teaching, so teaching others how to do them, which then after a while becomes delegating. And this is how you can even better improve your time management. But most importantly is starting to understand how your team see you and how you see yourself. What is that delta to start working on? Thank you and see you next time.